Welcome back, everyone. I am back with Glenda from Simply Yoga. Glenda, I love you've just given me a little tour of your studio, which is absolutely divine. I absolutely love it. And literally what you've just put down now, I actually wanted to share with everyone is your little board, your little quote board. Don't you mind just grabbing that again and bringing that onto screen? And what you were saying is that, every month you pop a new little quote on your board for everyone. So kind of like what inspired you to do that and get into doing that? Because I love that. Remember to fill your cup because you can't pour from an empty cup. And that is such a true quote or saying. And it's so in tune with where I am as well, with because I'm kind of like I've moved a little bit from yoga to Ayurvedic lifestyle coaching, because that's exactly what I found people were doing. They'd come to yoga completely depleted, and I'd be seeing them every week, the same thing. They'd leave yoga and they'd be feeling great. And then by the time they came back the next week, they'd be completely depleted again. And I was like, no, I need to help people make sure they sustain their energy. Like, the whole week, so that when they come back, they at least have a little bit of juice in their cup. And like, we're not starting empty again. So I love that you've got a quote. I love that quote because I totally resonate with it. And what got you started to sharing quotes in your studio?
Gosh, I think Dr. Zeus, really.
Dr. Zeus, love it.
It was with the kids, it's March I have March as the Dr. Zeus month for the kids yoga theme, and I put up the quote for I can't remember what it was. It's the better than you or something. It was quite a sweet little one, and it just unfolded from that. And I've noticed that where a student follows the Instagram page, and then I'll refollow them, and then I see they've actually photographed the board and posted it on their Instagram page. So then I thought, I'll just keep going with that because it's obviously it's for somebody. And I have a great fun. I have a lot of fun finding the quote, and I often, if I see something, I'll jot it down for a quote later on in the month. And in fact, I've already found the one for the next month. So watch the space. I'll post it on my Instagram.
So what is your Instagram handle?
It's simply yoga_SA.
Simply yoga_SA. And your website is simplyyoga.co.za.
It's simplyyoga.yoga.
Simplyyoga.yoga. Okay.
And then the same Rainbow Warriors_SA is the Instagram page for the Rainbow Warriors.
Okay. Now tell me about Rainbow Warriors, and kind of like how you got into kids yoga, what got you there. I'm going to give you a quick update. Like with me, after I did my teacher training, I started teaching, I ran the yoga magazine for a while, then we started the yoga teacher training, and in there somewhere, I think in the like maybe late, kind of like around 2010, somewhere there, I think I must have started teaching. I did some pregnancy yoga and some kids yoga. And the first kids yoga that I taught, I absolutely loved them. They came, it was like the right group, they were so interested in it. And I was like, oh, I love kids yoga, teaching kids yoga. And then the next kind of like, the next quarter, the next school year, I did another group or another two groups. And I was just like, these teens are revolting. What has happened? And what I realized is that with the first group, and I really didn't like it. I really wasn't enjoying it. They were rude to me. It was so un-yogic. It's like something I'd never experienced before, because yoga for me had always been this lovely, safe, like happy place. And I was just, there was this kind of like not resonating with the students. And what I'd realized had happened is the first time I'd invited, parents to sign up for their kids, it was the kids that were really keen to try yoga because they'd seen mom do it or something or another. With the second group, it was where the parents decided that their kids needed to do it because their kids were too stressed, too busy, like having a lot going on. But it hadn't actually come from the kids who had wanted to do yoga. So they would be kind of like walking down to the studio, like drinking Coke and having chips. And then they'd like rock up at the studio being high as a kite, jumping, off the walls. And here I am trying to like bring stillness and calmness to them. And I was like, whoa, something is so wrong. So that was my like little story with regards to like, kids yoga and, how one thing led to the next, and kind of like kids yoga dissipated out there for me. Just, it wasn't the route that I was going in the end. But with you and your Rainbow Warriors, like, tell me about that, and how do they keep you grounded and sane? And yeah.
You've said something very valuable there, that when it doesn't come from this kid itself, they're not interested. You can't teach anybody who doesn't want to learn that way. So that is key, that the child needs to initiate that. I mean, teaching at the Montessori school, one of the local Montessori schools, I'll get the parents saying, I'd like my kid to do yoga. And then I say, oh, that sounds lovely. Can James please just try the class out and he can give you feedback? Because I'm not going to say, cool, sign him up and I'm going to invoice you for the term. I said, can you just, or can little Sarah just try the class and take it from there? Let's see what their response is like. You then can continue. You can contact me again and confirm if you'd like to continue with it. And that's how I've always approached it. And it's true what you say. When the child gets plonked into a class because the parent insists that they do, doesn't work. I have mainly girls. I had some boys with the girls, the tween class, and it became really quite difficult with the boys in the class because they'd like to tease. And obviously breaking wind is just the best, the most hysterical, the most miraculous thing your body can do. And I ignore it, when the littlies, the 3 to 4-year-olds, come running in and plonk on the mat and they also let one go, they're not even aware of it. It's something that's totally foreign. But the older kids, so the boys have slowly taken up sports and things like that. So I'm left with some tween girls that are turning 13 this year, and they are just lovely. They're a delight. They want to be here.
Yes.
And they've found the studio by just Googling yoga for kids or something. But I must honestly say, yoga for kids in the northern suburbs isn't a big theme at all, which is quite sad. I think of kids who are forced to do extramurals and are not that way inclined, or competitive sports. Can they not rather have an intramural where you have yoga or mindfulness movement and meditation? So I'm still I won't say bashing away at it. I'm still put my feelers out, and when it strikes, it strikes. But for the moment now, I have more than I need, not more than I can cope with for where I am in my journey. The amount of commitment I have from students is manageable.
Yes.
But I will always, look forward to teaching children. And it was one of my things. What is my niche? What is my niche with the studio? It's teaching adults, but I love teaching the children. I have so much fun with them. And it came about, how did I start teaching children? I was teaching a class, and I don't know, called the elbow, the knee, or put your shoulder down, and I meant your wrist. I don't know what it was. And we all fall about laughing half the time because either that or have forgotten to do the left side and we've only done the right side. And then we walk out here a bit skew and unbalanced. No, we don't. I might correct myself when I finally cotton on. And somebody said to me, you'd be such a great children's yoga teacher. Have you ever thought about it? I said, no, never. And then again, that little seed started to germinate. And then I started searching the internet, and I came across Blissful Yoga for Kids. 2 beautiful women who do training for it. So I did the level 1, and then I went and did the advanced one, which will include children with disabilities. And I've never looked back. It's been a wonderful journey, and they run alongside the adults, because the children are obviously here in the afternoons, and I go to the school in the afternoon as well. And then I've got the evenings and the mornings for parents or the older generation.
Love it.
I love it. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. It's so nice. And it's so nice also to know that there is someone out in the northern suburbs who does cater for kids. I think it is, like you say, such an important option for
Mm.
kids to have who maybe aren't, as competitive or sporty, or even who just want something that can help them switch off a little. But it has to come from the kids. There's no point for it to be forced from anyone else, because we know that story doesn't work.
No, and the same for adults. You can't go and teach somebody a skill and they don't want to learn, don't really want to learn. So yeah, just to teach children to regulate, to not take things that seriously, and life doesn't have to be that hard.
Yeah.
It's quite I think it's quite vital to know that there's a safe space for them. And there was something else I wanted to share. There is still a group of volunteers. There was a lady I met once when I was doing the kids training. She was at the Source when they were still in Constantia, and she ran a volunteer group, something about wellness for Africa. I can't remember. So I volunteered to teach at a shelter in Bonteheuvel. I did
Okay.
that for her.
Was that with Aisha, who runs
That's her, it is.
wellness? Yes, wellness.
Beautiful woman. And I taught at the shelter that was for abandoned and abused women. And you could see some women wanted to be there and some women didn't want to be there. It was quite challenging.
Yes. Yeah.
Then she put me in touch with the old age home in Kensington, where I used to go on a Saturday morning and teach the old folk.
And it's such an important thing that you were talking about, like with the kids, when you're telling that story about, when you go to school and you say to the parents, listen, get little Johnny, little Sarah, whoever it is, a chance to teach, or a chance to come to a class and just experience it and find out, is this something that they want to do or not? And the same needs to be for us. Like, we need to go to a class and, experiment. Is this what we want to do? And you know what, if it means we have to go to 10, 20, 30 different teachers or studios to find it, until we're able to find kind of like the right one for us in that, where we are right now, I always say go for it and do it, because you don't have anything to lose. And what, you might not come right with the first one. So keep going at it.
Absolutely. I mean, not every teacher is for everybody. Not everybody's for every teacher. So it's almost like you do your own little interview. If you want to find your dentist or something, you're not going to go to the first one. You will go and you'll meet the dentist, and you'll feel if there's a rapport.
Exactly. And kind of like one of the things that you are sharing and that you do at your studio as well. And it might not be for everyone. Maybe people don't want this idea of like community and just taking, 10 minutes or 15 minutes after class to chat, but you have a little tea station, herbal tea after class, and it is such a lovely opportunity, where everyone can just connect with each other. Because I think with us, who run smaller studios, it's that connection with the students themselves that forms such a pivotal role and a part of someone's healing journey or just journey in life. Because if you going to class, I mean, some students have been here for 20 years already and they've known each other for 20 years, but you start having friendships formed, they already know, if that person's walking through the door just by looking at them, if they've had a bad day, a bad week, and I don't have to be the one to support them through anything. They've got their classmates who are there to support them. So little tea station, how did that come about, and what benefits have you found by just having that as part of your studio?
It came about that at the end of class, instead of everybody leaping off their mat and rushing out the door, it was the way of forming community, as you said just now. And it's literally just a little cup. I give them a little cup, proper little teacups. I make the tea and I take it into the studio, and it stands on a tea burner while we're practicing. Then obviously at the end of class, everybody, when she gets up, really slowly, and I encourage them just to take a few breaths there, and then I pour the little bit of tea for everybody, and I actually serve it to them on their mat. And whether they want to chat or not, it doesn't matter.
Mm.
But more often or not, it does kind of spark some form of conversation, some kind of even networking, or somebody has been to a great theatre show, or I have a student who's losing a partner at the moment due to a long-term illness. So whenever she comes, everybody is very sympathetic towards her, or empathetic, I should say, not sympathetic, empathetic. And it's a great way of her feeling supported.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, so it's always been there. It's my little teapot. I just love it. And I have all sorts of teas depending what's happening. I mean, my latest flavor is orange and chamomile at the moment. Whether it's a mint tea, if it's cold, or then I'll put ginger tea, or I'll make a chai tea on the stove and bring it up. So it's just a lovely ending, rounding off to the class so that people don't dash off. And I have very few people that say, oh, I can't stay for tea. The only time they don't drink tea is if they're fasting. That's the only time I'll have a student who won't participate, but she will stay there while everybody else participates to be part of the conversation if they so wish. But it's really just to slow down that need to rush into the next thing, to rather feel like you can take this stillness off the mat with you into the remainder of your evening or day. So the teas, and a little bit of hydration, because with the breathing practices, we dehydrate, we don't realize just how much.
Yeah. And I love what you say. So you probably noticed this as well. It's kind of like if you've created a culture now with your studio, where everyone comes, you do your practice, you have your little tea at the end, you leave, in a quiet space, you're not like rushing off. So so everyone kind of like who's already coming knows that there's like a studio culture that's being created. So now when you've got like a new person who comes into this, who's maybe used to just rushing from A to B, and now all of a sudden like their system is shocked into this different way of being, but it's like, it must feel really nice for them because wow, this is like supporting my whole nervous system. I'm feeling supported, not just like physically with the yoga, but mentally and emotionally as well. Like I'm forming connections with other people. And they probably, maybe it takes them, a session or two to get used to this whole new culture of like being in this culture, a way of being, but they probably adapt and sink into that rhythm quite quickly because everyone else just has taken it as the norm.
Yes. It is actually quite sweet to observe, I must say, although I do warn them ahead of time that the class is 75 to 90 minutes and we end off with a little herbal tea. If you don't wish to drink it, don't worry, I won't be offended. But I've never had a refusal yet. And as you say, by the second, third class, they seem totally at home with it. Because it's nothing unnatural. There's nothing. It's not it is a little ritualistic, but it's in a healthy manner. So you can participate if you wish, or you don't have to participate. But I've built this container, I've strung all these beads together for the practice, and now we're ending off the class in a very gentle fashion. So that there isn't this urgency to rush out into the world and go and conquer.
Yeah.
Do it rather more mindfully.
Yeah, and I think it's so important, like finding these little like groups and like, I don't know, the different ways of operating and to immerse yourself in that, because I think we get so perplexed and bombarded with like what society deems as normal, like this work, go, drive, more. And actually, instead of like being in the space where we're actually pausing and listening more and going inwards. But we need to find those little cultures, those little blocks here and there of people who operate the way we ideally want to be. And I mean, like, you're the shining example. Like, if you if you see in your beautiful glowing face and your, eloquent words and the way you're just so calm and grounded, it's like people are drawn to you. They're like, I want to be like Glenda. I want more of her. Like, I need to get, myself into a workshop or, a class with her, because I know that energy is just going to embody me and surround me. So I absolutely love what you've created with your studio.
Thank you, Nina. It's so accessible, hey? All of this, it's just there. If you just reach out for it. I mean, everybody, the world needs yoga. It would be much better place. Yeah.
Exactly. And this is why, like, to me, it's so important that I do these little interviews, because I know a lot of people do resist when I ask them to come and just speak about like what it is they do and what they have, because there are all these small little beautiful pockets of studios out there that so many people just need a little bit of access to. And that's kind of like why I have bombarded you a little with please come and speak to me, because you're such a beautiful light and the world needs to see more of you.
Same for you. Same for you.
All right, Glenda, I absolutely love chatting with you. What is kind of like the next phase? Where are you heading to next? Is it going to be Master Reiki? Is it going to like, what do you foresee in the next 12 months?
Oh, golly. Doing more of what I love. I think I won't study for a little while. I've just done my 300 hours on top of the 200 hours, which I just found for my own personal development that I needed a little more. I think I will just pause for a bit. It's so funny. I thought about it afterwards. I thought, oh, where will I be going next?
And that's,
so watch the space.
And that's such an important space to be in as well, because I love to work with the seasoned, and kind of like I've was kind of like working out all the content for my declutter workshop this coming weekend. And in there again, like working with the seasons is important. It's kind of like often, you know, we go through spring where there's like a lot of energy and movement, and summer we've got like the power to drive through things, and autumn we like, okay, we want to finish off projects and, you know, complete them and get them all done. And like you've just completed your 300 hour now, last month, on the last 2 months. And then it's like winter, and winter to me has always been this time of like slowing down and reflecting, and like, what are the lessons that I learned? Like, what worked in this past phase? What didn't work? You know, what can I learn from and grow? And if we don't take time to pause and reflect and look at that, and we just step into like the next thing, we might not be stepping into that which is the most beneficial for us. So I love that you're in that like that winter phase, and it's winter here in Cape Town as well, of like slowing down and reflecting.
Perfect timing.
Lovely. And always such an honor to chat with you, and I'm so glad that you made time for us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, beautiful soul, Nina. Till next time.
Till next time.